excited
10 minutes
about
or
moving
so.
forward, getting
Yeah.
back to see you, and just starting our brain health series.
Yeah, me too. So let's before we dive in, before we talk about improving cognitive ability, better decision making, being able to better understand complex ideas, learn faster, solve problems faster, just growing your ability to reason and plan, and overall staying sharp. I'm going to invite everyone who's watching us, whether you're watching us live or watching the replay, to think for a moment about what's in it for you personally. What good thing gets to happen for you if you boost your brain? So if you improve your mood, your cognitive abilities, if you're like overall just sharper and in a better mood, right? And share in the comments. So I'd love to know, what is your motivator for doing this? So I think 2020 overall, I think a lot of us are more aware than ever how important it is for us to take care of our mental health, emotional health. So a lot of people are really, focused on that. But when we want to create lifestyle change, or we want to take small actions to improve our health, no matter what area we want to focus on, it's really important to kind of laser in on a concrete thing, like a concrete benefit that you want to get out of it, right? So something that's going to change for you, something that you get to have if you invest the next 10 minutes into boosting your brain, right? So share in the comments. We'd love to hear what that is for you, and declare it now, right? What's the juiciest benefit that you can think of about boosting your brain? And I want to share mine. So right now I'm studying for another professional certification. So I'm just imagining myself, consuming all the required reading, which is a tall pile of books. I love reading, right? But it takes that brain power, right? It takes boosting my brain to really enjoy it and be able to learn fast and consume all that information, right? So that's my main motivator for doing this. And I'm curious about you, George. What's your main motivation for boosting your brain this fall?
Well, for me, I often struggle with finding the word that I'm looking for, like to explain whatever it is that I want to be specific about. And I'm also like remembering names, and also my ability to forget where I put things could always use improvement. And since I have to say, since taking on a healthier lifestyle, I notice improvements in these areas in spite of being the age that I am, where most people are beginning to notice a decline. So I like the increased ability to be on top of my game, and I want to maintain it as long as I can. And moving forward, I need all the help I could get. So yeah. I'm loving doing this.
Me too, right? Right, and I think I thank you so much for sharing that. I that's always on the back of my mind. I want to avoid some of the health issues that I've seen family members have, of like when they reach a certain age, like some of them experienced a rapid decline, and it was just horrific to see. So that's definitely something. So we all have a lot of reasons, right? So we're inviting you to pick one thing, like just right there, like the concrete thing that motivates you to take action to improve your brain health, to take care of, like, nourish your, how do you say it, George? Nourish your nugget. I love that.
Sure. Noggin. Nourish your noggin.
Nourish your noggin. So the clearer you are with that, the easier it is for you to take the action, right? So the clearer you can get with that, what does it mean for you? What good thing gets to happen for you if you, stay sharp, think fast? What good thing gets to happen for you? The more likely you are to actually achieve that, right? So let's jump right into our first key to improving your cognitive abilities, boosting your brain, right? So this week we're gonna continue for the next 10 weeks. We're gonna add these, share the keys. But this first week we're gonna really start with the foundations. And so our first foundational key piece is nutrition. So brain boosting, superfoods, right? And before you think like, oh, forget this, like, you're just going to be talking about healthy food again, like, don't discuss this. Unfortunately, there is no way to skip the foundations, right? The key to success, it is through the basics, right? So today we're going to talk about the foundations of healthy brain foods, right? And so this can be really, really simple again, right? We're not going to overwhelm you with a ton of information. And that is available to everyone on the internet anyways, right? So we're just going to focus on two things, right? And that is that the brain consists of mainly water and fat, right? So it goes to say that also the things you need to consume to nourish your brain are also water and healthy fats. There's some other things, but those are the two things you can focus on to keep it real simple, right? So the first part, keeping hydrated, right? So, you've heard this a million times before, just drink more water, right? A lot of people, I'm sure, you're like thinking that, yeah, I've heard this a million times before, and yeah, like move on, right? But the trick to getting results, it's really not about knowing things, it's about doing them, right? So check in time, first action step you can do to really check in with yourself. Am I really hydrated? Am I getting enough water? And that is simply checking the color of your pee. So the next time you go to the toilet, think about George and Johanna and look at the color of your pee. It should be light yellow. And if it's anything darker than that,
then we are the pee color cops.
Yeah, pee color cop, pee color specialist. Yeah. So if it's darker than light yellow, then that is a reminder for you to drink more water. So that is just something, to pay attention to. Just, building awareness around, kind of like checking in with the color of your pee to know if you're keeping hydrated, right? So that is the first part, to remembering to really in your everyday life to keep hydrated. And that has a huge dramatic impact already on your like brain clarity and your mood, right? And then talking about the fats, it's really, really you can spend a lot of time researching this, but think about two things. So nuts and seeds, avocados, and then if you eat animal products, then fatty fish, right? So this can, again, like I said, this can be like so simple, or it can be overwhelming. We can, all spend a lot of time researching the most optimal way to do this, and we can also do it the fast, simple, easy way, right? So here's an action step if you, recognize that you haven't been focusing on brain healthy foods already, is simply to go on Google and, type top 10 brain foods into the search and check, check a few of the results, do a little bit of research. Don't spend a ton of time on it. But what you basically get is the same list of foods. It'll mention, things like, walnuts, flaxseed, blueberries, spinach, avocados, spinach, salmon, eggs. You'll notice the same foods keep appearing, right? So that is a simple action you can do. So just pick a list, and then when you find, you look at the foods, pick 1 to 3 things that you find the most appealing to you or the least offensive, right? If you're typically not eating, a lot of foods from the category, they might be foreign to you and you might not find them too appealing, but just pick 1 to 3 things that are not totally offensive to you, right? And if you're already eating tons of healthy foods, that's fantastic. Then just, consider what might you want to try next, right? So the way to keep this, again, like really powerful is to keep it simple. So just commit to picking 1 to 3 things and put them in your shopping cart right now. So you can, or, open your favorite online food ordering app, or just, if you have a paper shopping list, just write that thing there, and if you don't want to go through the process, just write flaxseed, avocados, blueberries, spinach, which of these you like, right? So just keeping mindful about eating the foods that, we all know, we all have this knowledge. Most of us already know exactly what the foods are. We may not simply be eating them regularly, right? So as you can see, this is pretty obvious stuff. The trick is really in doing it, right? So, holding your eating habits to support your lifestyle goals, it's really a process for all of us, right? Nobody's perfect. And if you're in the very beginning, if you're now not, eating mindfully with your brain health, if you're now eating more for like flavor or comfort and you're really thinking about like brain health, that's fantastic because you have the most, like the massive opportunity. You have the biggest gain by shifting, starting to eat more of these healthy fats, more of the foods, the foods that are rich in nutrition that the brain needs, right? So don't feel discouraged. And if you're already really on an advanced level, there's always room for improvement, right? So whatever your stage, there's quick, easy wins for you, right? And I just want to mention, like, from a coaching perspective and my own experience, and I think, George, you can also like add on to this, but training your palate, it just takes time, right? You can train your palate to like anything you want, right? So why not have your palate like things that are good for you? So I would invite you to focus on how you feel in your body afterwards when you consume these foods. So be experimental, right? Try different things and give it a try for a few times. Like, don't, give up even if it doesn't immediately like tickle your flavor buds, like, if it's not like ecstasy when you first try it, right? So I think, even though we're health coaches, this isn't any easier on us. What do you think, George?
Well, I agree. It's not any easier on anyone than anybody else. But what I will say is anyone who that I've spoken to that made a shift from eating like a typical American, which really is not very good, to eating a much more healthier, health conscious diet has found that it's a lot easier. Once you get started, it's a lot easier than what we thought it would be.
Yeah.
And that the foods that are natural foods are much more delicious than we ever really knew that they were. And so the benefits are more than what we really thought they were going to be. We started out thinking, oh, if I can only get this as a result, and this is a result, and it's awesome.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned that it was easier, that, it is easier than we may think, right?
Just got to start.
Yeah. It's that getting started. I remember like my own journey of, I was thinking about, I wanted to increase my energy and I was procrastinating on trying out a smoothie. I heard smoothies are good for you. And I was like, okay, a green smoothie, I need to get on that, And once I did, right, I didn't like the flavor. I was like holding my nose and I was like making myself drink. I put like spinach, avocado, lemon, all kinds of good stuff in there, some matcha green tea. But when I drank it, like the impact on my body was insane. I could immediately see the difference. And I was like sold on that first try. And it was like such a dramatic difference of like clarity, like just like feeling clean and energetic. And so like you might have this, experience, or you may not, right? But it's worth a try, right? Your body and the benefits of staying sharp and having a good mood, like they're so dramatic that it's worth it. And it's, it takes some time for the palate to kind of like pick up, but if you focus on how you feel in your body afterwards, that's going to be really helpful. And yeah, let us know how it goes. I'm so excited to hear if you haven't been eating a lot of like brain foods before, how you feel. Right, share. Yeah. And anything else you want to add when it comes to nutrition?
Yeah, you mentioned like coaching and in coaching and foods. I like to I like to emphasize on what we get to do, what we can do, what we want to do, like, and I don't so much like to go about what we shouldn't do or things that are bad, like, okay, leave that alone and let's work. But I really feel compelled to mention this terrible word that nobody likes to talk about because we love it so much, and that's sugar. And before I go on, I just feel it's very important to at least touch on this. There is an incredible movie. It's called That Sugar Film. That's the title of it, That Sugar Film. And I would encourage anyone who wants to improve their eating habits and see why is sugar really so bad. It's one of the things that I find helps people make change in their lives is, like you said earlier, not just having an experience, getting more information, but having an experience. And just like this conversation that you and I are having today, Johanna and I, watching this movie, That Sugar Film, just watching that is an experience. And that's an experience that's very powerful and could move a lot of people in a positive way and help them pursue eliminating some sugar from their lives, if not all. And so just about sugar, a lot of people say, but sugar is natural. Fruits contain sugar. Well, refined sugar comes from sugar cane and sugar beets. It's stripped of all its nutrients. And as a result, it's broken down by the body more quickly, wreaking havoc on one's metabolism, in the form of insulin and blood sugar level spikes. It has drug-like effects on the reward center of our brain, like cocaine. A short time high is followed by a crash, leaving the body craving even more sugar. It contributes to anxiousness and anxiety, contributing to inhibiting our brains from functioning at their best. And even a single instance of elevated glucose in the body results in slow cognitive function, and it hinders memory and attention span. Sugars found in fruits are consumed along with necessary nutrients and are steadily absorbed by the body, and that gives needed energy without the spike in insulin and the sudden crash.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. I really love that you talked about that, because as health coaches we couldn't avoid talking about sugar when it's when it comes to brain health and nutrition, right? Is it okay if I mention one more thing?
Sure.
Yeah, I do want to mention probiotics. That's another thing you can try. So if you've already kind of you're eating brain healthy foods, that's one thing you can add. Or it's another simple way you can kind of try tweaking your diet for produce kind of support better brain health. So that can be a huge impact as well, right? But yeah, I love that movie suggestion. I always love watching movies like that, kind of like informative documentary type of things. And yeah, I totally I love sugar as a topic, because it's so this is why it's so challenging, because we know people know it's a toxic substance. It's as addictive as heroin, and it's a real thing, and we need to consume it really responsibly, even more responsibly than alcohol. It's really, sugar is, you have to be serious about sugar, right? But because it's so prevalent, it's everywhere, and there's people around you who say oh, I don't have any problem with sugar. Why you gotta be so oh, hypoglycemia my ass, and things like this. So it's kind of like you were surrounded by raging alcoholics who were like why do you have a problem with alcohol? So it's kind of that's what makes it challenging, right? Because it's everywhere. There's people who there's still bakeries around. It's kind of if you had your friendly neighborhood Coke dealer there running their little boutique shop, right? So it is kind of a thing, but anything in moderation, right?
It's just a little bit, right? But that's where it's
everything in moderation. It's so funny. I these days I went through a long battle with sugar, with eating disorders and sugar addiction, but still, if I have sugar on more than 2 days in a row, I'll turn into a total addict, and I'll be scouring the house for the next hit of like, no matter what time it is, I'll be like eyes gleaming. So it's like, it's so real. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway,
so-
I wanted to say thank you, everyone,
Yeah.
and thank you, Johanna. And
Thank
I
you so
just
much.
wanted to, before I forget, about next
Yeah.
week, we're going to talk about effects of physical activity on our brain. And I don't want to use the E word, because I know many have an aversion to it. We do want to invite you to be here next week and possibly see how we can use your physical activity that you have naturally in a way that can help you enjoy and promotes brain health and the brain health that you may be looking for.
Yeah. So this week, we really invite you to take some small action, no matter how small. So just to kind of recap, the suggestions is first, go and check your pee the next time you go. Check the color of it to see if you should be drinking more water. And then second option, second thing you could try is try adding 1 to 3 superfoods, brain superfoods into next week's diet, right? So buying something new, or maybe just, if you have a can of sardines in the cabinet like me, maybe just, biting the bullet and, trying a new superfood you haven't tried yet. Yeah, that's it. So whatever small action you decide, let us know in the comments. And yeah, I'm so excited to see you guys next week. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Cheers.
Bye-bye.